Ashwika from Adabanali Studios. Welcome to our today's event, Sustainability and Future of Fashion After COVID. With my experience in the fashion industry for 20 years, from what I have seen and observed, we called for Fashion Evolution Program last year, early 2020, to propose a change in the fashion industry. Sorry. Uh, the revolution fashion started with the Rana Plaza incident that began in Bangladesh, which has evolved to people protesting and saving the environment, plastic contents damaging the food and the water that we drink, change of climate, and now farmers protest in India. We certainly believe that there must be a proposed measurable action towards all of these chaos. Businesses or charity cannot run without profits as they require to feed people working in the operating system. So, how are we going to bring the change and see things in a balanced perspective? So, there has been a growing frustrations amongst people in the fashion industry, which is evident from the growing revolutionary movements that we all know. So, we are here today calling for growth, growing together, and enterprising together, bringing out some measurable changes in the way we operate. With growing actions from businesses, we see momentum in government plans towards green agenda. And so today we have invited some amazing speakers who are panelists from various sectors of the industry and sustainability. So I would like to introduce everyone today. Unfortunately, our moderator Liam is unwell, so he was unable to join the show. So we have Sigita, who's a program coordinator from Horizon Europe Health Department, Heather Scott, hydrologist in water management, Rachel Khan, founder and ecosystem facilitator from the Circular Earth, Vincent, fashion entrepreneur from manufacturing sector specialized in recycling, Prithvi Raj, behavior change expert, Vipin Chabra, innovation fashion designer from supply chain, and Jorache from One Way Freedom. I think she's unable to make it, and I would like to welcome everyone today in the Zoom meeting. Hi, Prithvi.
Hey, hi. It's pleasure meeting all of you. Very good morning to you all.
So we have some questions, like we to as a studios or from the company, we would like to ask all of the speakers. So yeah, we have different stages of the section. So first stages, I would like everyone to introduce yourself. So who you are and what is your background and what has been your action towards sustainability. So I think we will start with Prithvi. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Prithvi from India. I primarily work in the field of social sustainability and a little bit of environment sustainability as well. I've done my master's in social work and in sustainability and my philosophy in social work as well. And currently doing my research in the area of sustainability with respect to people. We have to go towards achieving a common goal or a desired goal as such. So coming back to the topic, so basically, I primarily focus more on the behavioral change perspective when it comes to sustainability, because you see the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. So my area of interest is more towards the people front, which is one of the triple bottom line in sustainability. And when it comes to the fashion industry, because I don't have much of a say or my experience in fashion industry, but yes, when it comes to social sustainability, when on with respect to inequality or labor practices or the mentality of the people. So these are one of the areas which I look at, be it any area as such, be it fashion or be it sport or be it community development, be it rural environment, be it whatever. My core area of work is social sustainability, and I've been working in this area for almost 15 years. Um, and nice to let's see. I love to hear all the different views from all of you, and I hope it will be a good knowledge sharing session, and it will give a great input for what Sweta has set the tone. Ashwika set the tone, right? And over to the next speaker. I think Sigita can introduce, and we can discuss. Thank you.
Yes, Sigita.
Hello, I'm Sigita Bagdaniena from Lithuania. I am I'm working in the political communication like 15 years, and I have the experience to work in the European institutions like 10 years. Now I'm working in my national country in the research field in the research council, like a representative of the European program Horizon Europe, which is tightly bounded to make a change in all the member countries towards the green economy. And also, like for my free time, I'm volunteering with the eco design brand company Balta Balta. It means that to translate from my national country, it's white white. So the girls, they are using only the natural colors to color the textile, and that is my path. And I really agree that the main thing is to change the mentality of the consumers, that to be more responsible in each step, what we are using, why we are using, and only like that we can go to the sustainable direction, and to consume less and consume better better things, and to have the respect for what we are buying and for the nature. So thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, Hida.
Hi there, I'm Heather. I worked for 18 years as a hydrologist, and what a hydrologist is, it incorporates anything to do with water. So my specialities are primarily flooding, flood analysis for climate change, long term. I look at droughts, irrigation, water quality, any incidents of pollution, groundwater contamination, groundwater abstraction. So this is why the textile industry is of particular interest to me, because it's classed as the second most polluting industry in the world. And we have to remember that water is a basic human right. So this is where I come in. And what I do, a lot of the scientific papers, a lot of people can't understand them. So I provide that link where I sort of translate them and create awareness of what's actually going on and how their actions are impacting the natural world. So I agree with what you were saying before there, that my personal view is we must consume less. And if we are going to buy better, and make sure those products that we are buying are within like a circular economy, that they've been reused, recycled, so it's a closed loop system. So that's what I personally believe is the way forward, and that we need to do that. But we've got to start buying less, is what I believe in. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Our next speaker, Rachel. Rachel, sorry.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Sheila Can, founder of Circular Earth, which is a fashion consultancy that helps businesses to transform sustainably and regeneratively. My background is from the fashion industry. I've been a designer and design manager for 22 years. Really saw firsthand really what happens socially and sustainably. Couldn't really live with myself designing anymore. Actually felt sick to design after a while. So yes, went towards sustainability, generally taught myself, did courses, did mini courses. And yes, now I've created my consultancy. At first I started creating events just for awareness, to share with the consumer what to do. Yes, so that's me in a nutshell for now.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I would like to invite next Vincent.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vincent. I'm from Shanghai, and what I do is that I have a family business. We manufacture for high-end and contemporary brands in Europe and in North America, using sustainable material and transparent factories. I also do recycling. We recycle and upcycle textiles and shoes and plastics. We either go back to the supply chain, or we'll make some new products out of that. And last thing I do is I also do some coaching mentoring for fashion startups here in China. Thanks.
That's amazing. I would like to next welcome Vipin.
Hi everyone, I'm Vipin, and originally I was a designer, and I have 12 years of experience working in different sectors of garment. I started working with factories first, with the garment manufacturing units. There I saw a lot of fast fashion brands, how they were produced and all. And then I moved to Dubai for 10 years. I was working there in retail fast fashion. So I have literally seen how fast fashion destroying the market and exploiting the world. So and now I'm in Berlin. I'm doing my master's, and I have been researching on sustainable practices, especially digitalization, how digitalization is helping in zero waste design and manufacturing. So here I am in Berlin, so I'm just researching on that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. It's been wonderful to introduce yourself. As we know, we have a list of questions to ask, and each of you coming from different backgrounds. So yeah, I would like to pose my first question. Where do you see the current challenges in moving towards a greener industry? So anyone can answer this.
I think people are a huge problem, the consumers. They're unaware of what they're doing. Well, a lot of them are. And some of them just display willful ignorance. They just want to turn a blind eye. They just don't want to think about what's going on. So obviously they have the buying power. They are the ones buying things. Yeah, they're a huge problem.
Yeah, even I felt the same thing actually, because people, because of the economy, it's not that sometimes people might have conscious in terms of buying, but people for economical situation pushes them to buy cheaper fast fashion than supporting the sustainable brands. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I'll go to my next question. Where do you believe what do you believe are the drivers towards this? Will it have to be consumer led going further?
I think now demographics are been changing from past years. We had different consumers, and now because there were more millennials than the older people, and now the demographics in the world have been changed. And it's it's the equal amount, millennials and the older people. So now I think fashion industry is being transformed, because the demand for it's for both the consumer. It's not just millennials who just wanted fast fashion. Now they're more smarter. They know what they want actually in their lives, in their careers. So even in fashion, because of social media and all, it's driving consumers to more knowledgeable. They have more say.
So should you not think because sometimes only when you sell a burger, people can buy the burger. So could the industry not be driven from the back end as well than just the consumer end? That's where the angle I'm coming from.
I think it's both. I think it's all ends really. I don't think it's really up to the consumer 100%. They need to have it made easy for them, right? Most people have enough going on in their lives without having to really worry about checking out all of the points. We have to, as an industry, make it super easy for them to be able to shop this, and actually take part in the circular economy going forwards.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's about the triple bottom line, right? So company needs to make money, and then but yet they have to also take care of the people and the environment. So I see companies and brands are investing a lot into how to try to recycle or repurpose, or upcycle the waste and things that people don't want anymore.
Yeah, like adding on to what Vincent was talking about the triple bottom line, the first question was focused more on the consumer part. But when it comes to economy, so we need to balance that as well. So you cannot just put the big money on the consumer. Let's say if I'm not able to afford, so I would rather go for only for cheaper materials, right? The affordability is also a matter, and of course, to what segment of people and who's your targeted consumers. Those are the other factors as well. Yeah, we need to balance all the three. That's what sustainability is all about.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, all. My next question is: do you believe the current system of measuring the companies who claim to be green are sufficient? Can they be relied upon?
I think
Okay.
it's more have to do with traceability. So the companies have to be really transparent now, because the consumers are not stupid now. Like they really need to see like what the brands are doing. So like even like the bigger companies, they have uh, right now they are giving their full reports on sustainability, and they're giving actual numbers. They're sharing actual numbers with the consumer. Earlier the case was like it was just like more of a like marketing strategy for the brand to survive in the market, but now it's getting to reality, and brands are getting to know how crucial is this for them to sustain in the market. If you are not sustainable in future, you are not in the market, you're gonna get out of the market, I guess.
Okay, I have a question on that because everyone is requesting for transparency in the supply chain, actually. But if you see, there was one. I mean, one of the speaker when I was capturing the voice of fashion, her name is Ulla. She pointed about subcontracting. So subcontracting is a very big issue. Obviously, there are a lack of transparency in the system, but can the industry also survive without subcontracting? Because
I think it depends on like how big the company is, because there are smaller company SMEs, they cannot afford the full operations to invest in full operation. So the big thing about the fashion industry is like collaborations. So without collaborations, of course, like there are bigger players who have the luxury of like spending all their money on all the operations, from the back end operations, the front end operations, and like being digitizing everything, like the trend of the industry. But what about like smaller players? What about the designers? What about like local designers? Like they have to source those kind of operations, the trends, whatever are happening in the industry now. They have to collaborate. There is no other way to not to be.
so, which means from your point, like, even the smaller factories or the smaller brands or the smaller designers have to be given opportunity.
Yeah, and to
Because
if you talk
certification is a
about,
very big greenwashing thing from the angle I see, and you're also coming from the supply chain background. So don't you think there is so much greenwashing going on behind these certifications, because it is not allowing, from what I have seen, it doesn't allow smaller factories or smaller manufacturers to gain opportunities. If the industry requires transparency, of course these smaller units can also be provided opportunities to thrive, or the brands or the consumers, or especially the brands or the fashion designers or the brands, have the power to give opportunities for the smaller suppliers, I believe. Don't, I mean, what would be your thoughts? It's just my
my
views.
thought is like, because like like if like in Germany, like I think it's the most sustainable, because I have seen like in I've been in Dubai, I've been in India. Like I think like people are more aware here, and even like the smaller designers, smaller brands here, the people are more preferring them because they can see like where they are made in front of them in their, because I was working with the company M Studio, and like the concept was like in front it was the atelier, and at the back, and it was, there were like some designers, you know, working on their collections and all. So, but of course digitalization, other resources, marketing, they are outsourcing whatever they can do, whatever access they have, the skills they have, they are utilizing their own, otherwise they have to, you know, outsource. So people, I've experienced that so many customers would come and say like, oh, they can see, you know, like the clothes are made, they're not made in the factories, they're made there. So like there no, like, you know, of course you cannot be 100% sustainable, of course, the fabrics you are using, you know, but in the factories as well, if you are there, like from design to manufacturing, you produce like 3 4 prototypes, which is like, that is the main chunk of, you know, the wastage where it's happening now because of the 3D softwares, digitalization. So people are like skipping those steps, which was happening before as well, before pandemic, but after pandemic they're more aware because there is no way, because the buyers cannot travel to the factories, you know, they have to do virtual meetings, they have to approve everything virtual. So of course for designers I feel it's you know, impacting the creativity, but in future almost like 86 schools, like fashion schools across the world, they have already started like 3D softwares in their curriculum for the designers. So the designers are now being transformed like that because it was the need of an hour. And of course this is also helping in sustainability because you are skipping the whole process of like 3 4 prototypes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. So
I also see that you can use that to reduce overproduction as well, because you can have the consumers actually choose what they prefer before you make like thousands and thousands of pieces.
yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
one thing, like since Vipin was talking about reporting per se, one question to all the people in the fashion industry. So, how far is the sustainability reporting with respect to GRA reporting or integrated reporting? How far is the fashion industry been reporting on the sustainability front? Is it like to what extent that the 100% of the industry does it, or it's just on the process?
I wouldn't
How is
say
it?
100%. I'd say like the higher end, the bigger players will have to report on what they're doing. But there's like Vipin was saying, there is a lot of SMEs out there which are all creating and doing things, and they don't always report on what they're doing.
Okay.
There's no traceability on that part.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And one of the things that I'm putting in place is a kind of an ecosystem for these kind of small to medium-sized businesses to get together, to start having buying power together, because minimum quantities are a real problem for SMEs to be able to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally agreeable. Okay, my next question: whether it is recycling or upcycling. I know Vincent is coming from recycling sector, but there are in terms of circular economy, we call it for upcycling. So, what could we propose as a measurable change in the industry when it comes to recycling or upcycling? So, I think Vincent can answer this question.
Yeah, it's we're talking textile. We still are very early in the game of totally upcycling, or mostly we can downcycle, but it's really downcycle to something really low value like fillings and so on. But in order to upcycle, there's a lot of variables in there. You have like the mixed blend composition. That is a major challenge. How do you effectively economically separate those blends? That's still a challenge. There's not really a scaled solution right for that yet. And so it's we have to go monomaterial. Even in monomaterial, like polyester fabrics, the polyester fabrics, they are staple fiber. There's filaments, They have different deniers, so the quality of each of these fabrics and filaments, they are different. So it makes it a lot harder to go back to the fibers again. So we still need a lot more research and more trials, but I think we can definitely start on focusing on monomaterials for the composition, and also try to have less variance, and then even in the system, how we can provide more information to the recycler about what is this piece of garment is really made of. Yeah.
Yeah, but I see, like, recycling is one of the aspect, like, it's good in one way, but it has its
Mhm.
own carbon footprints led, in terms of transportations, in terms of logistics. Whereas sometimes, I've seen certain upcycling brands, they could be smaller, but they are doing something very beautifully. Yeah, my next question would be how we can reduce the carbon footprint in the industry.
Can I add something
Yeah,
on
sure.
upcycling part? Like it's like, of course, the industry is big, and I was talking about SMEs and all. So it depends whether it's recycling or upcycling. It depends on the situation, what waste you have. Like upcycling, it's not just recycling. It's not just about like mm, building the sustainable textiles, or like using raw material which is like waste, but like what I have seen also in the industry now, people are more smarter, because uh, in manufacturing units, all these fast fashion bigger players, what they used to do is like, if in their like thousand, like lakhs of pieces of shipment, if there are like little defects, like 10%, it's not up to their standards, they will just reject the shipment.
Yes.
And that will go to landfills. And also what we used to do in M Studio, so we used to buy those samples, like garments, and we used to tag, sell in our atelier, and we used to tell people, this is the small defect, and we used to mark with the stickers there, and people, and we'll give them, okay, like 30% off, because this is the defect. It's from, why it's in the store, because it's a rejected shipment for minute faults, which for consumers, they understand that, they're like, oh my god, like we are not wasting them, we are consuming them, they are getting good price, they are buying them. What about the fabrics which were like just like lying in the factories for like years and years, and designers are now, who are like sustainable designers, they are buying those fabrics and utilizing them however they can. It's not about, earlier design was like, okay, this is the trend, this is the fabric, I have to go for this color, I have to go for it. But now the trend is changing, because they are seeing what is available, what is getting wasted. According to them, they are transforming their design methods, I would say. Yeah.
That's brilliant. So,
I just
Yeah.
have a quick question
Yeah, sure.
for you, Vincent. Sorry. Hi, I'm
Mhm.
Meher. I actually co-run a small SME business within fashion. And last year, I think it was around July, we decided to become as sustainable as we possibly can. So we've sort of gathered a lot of information in a short period of time and tried to make our supply chain quite sustainable. But going back to your point about polyester, for example, recycled polyester
Mhm.
is quite readily available, predominantly our supply chains in India. And although you're sort of stopping the wastage of the fabric, what you're not doing in the process is, when you go and print the recycled polyester, is the sheer amount of water it's using, and it's the water usage and the water wastage which is actually a much bigger problem than we can anticipate. I mean, if you read the stats, there was an article in The Economist last, I think, 2 weeks ago, and they actually said that by 2030 they think that the demand for water is going to be 40% higher than the demand. And you're using your fabrics like cotton and polyesters, and you look at the way things are printed. However, the biggest problem is that to print one dress on an average is around 1 kg, sort of our stats are like this. And to print that 1 kg of dress, it uses 20,000 liters of water. So I guess my question there is yes, recycled polyester is great, upcycling is great, but can we truly become sustainable? Because at present, I'm actually working on developing a framework for our company and really aligning it to the UN goals. But the problem is that no matter what you do and what you try to do, there is something we're always losing out. And it's sort of, how do you overcome that issue for me?
Yeah, that's just always it's a great question. It's always you need to use energy, you need to use water. A process like if we look at recycled polyester, let's say from the water bottles, the system, this at least what I see in China, they are very efficient now. They have their own water treatment system. They reuse those water because it's a mandate from the government that you need to use a certain amount of the water. That then you actually get some tax incentives. So a lot of even the dining houses in China, they reuse 30% of at least 30%. Some they can go up to 70%. Like the down the down feather supply we use, they can reuse up to 70-80% of the water, so they don't need as much of the fresh water. And so you can see there's progress there. So we cannot get to that zero water, fresh water maybe overnight, but I'm sure we can get it to in a short amount of time. There's already a lot of the dye tubs that have already uses a lot the ratio, the tub ratio that is less water. So and then it's also their system that you can use more water reuse. So the water so companies in the industries is working a lot, very hard on this to minimize the water usage. If we go back to the carbon footprint part of this recycling, yes, it does use electricity, and it's sorting clothes. You use a lot of labor also. So it's the carbon footprint a lot has to do with the grid you're using. Where are you getting your energy from? It's so if you are doing the thing in, let's say, Scandinavia, the same thing in Scandinavia, or the same thing is in China, you have a lower carbon footprint in Scandinavia because you have a higher percentage of renewable energy compared to China. But not all parts of China are the same. You can only kind of have an estimate. But with how the world is going more and more into renewable energies, we could see that at least the energy part, consumption part of the carbon footprint can come down. And there's also other factors that going into the carbon footprints, not just energy, but energy is a major part of it, chemical use and so on. But we have done a carbon footprint analysis on a down jacket that we produce. We have looked into that, and we can see that over time that can be lowered, not because of the more efficient machines and the processes and things so on. So and then it's of course it's if you want offsetting part, you can either one of the ways is planting trees, and there's also if you invest in more newer, better machines, that will also lower the carbon footprints. Yeah.
That's very good points put forth. Yeah, maybe 100% sustainability is quite impossible to achieve by the industry, but there are efforts that everybody can make from the process of design, like you said, in terms of energy, in terms of manufacturing, probably a percentage of reduction, I believe.
Yeah, sorry, just one thing. Even the way we wash our clothes, if we wash all the light colors, we wash more together and wash less often, and we use the dryer less, that can make a major difference on the carbon footprint, because we have looked at it is that the carbon footprint for the carrying of the garment washing can be a lot, especially if you need to use a dryer.
Interesting. Okay, now my next question would be, how can stores or brands innovate to survive? Because like a lot of the fashion brands are falling down. If I'm looking at it, like, because sometimes stores have to have higher percentage of margin for them to pay rents and bills. At the same time, on one side, it is allowing them to push the bottom of the supply chain to go cheaper. So how the industry can survive giving a good product, right product at the right price. At the same time, what is the future of stores? What is going to be the future of retail shops?
It's
So,
about e-commerce.
so because
It's
we
about digitalization. Before, brands were like brands for the physical stores for them were the main source of customer experiences. So people were relying more on for the consumer experience. If they want to have like good experience, like they used to visit shop like physical stores. But now after nobody lockdown and social distancing, nobody can go out now. So the brands are realizing now, even the brands who are just like e-commerce businesses, they have done well, like other than like which were not strong in their e-commerce businesses before. So now the brands are not relying, it's like upside down now. Now e-commerce is the main platform for consumer experience, digital consumer experience, with virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, like how they are building virtual showrooms, how they are doing virtual fashion shows. So it's about virtual experience. So the stores are now just the representation of the brand on the ground, but I guess like for them to survive, they have to go digital. Otherwise, like I think they will.
Because I was watching one of the documentary, like in US, like because back in those time malls were of big trends, so the people, all the companies were building malls, and now because of the digital age, there's so many malls have been shut down, the retail stores, because the beauty of having a local shop next door, like you want to go as a woman and go there and experience the store. But it's just that the digital age and this COVID is definitely has changed. But what's going to be the future of fashion in terms of consumer experience in that aspect? I think the future generation, or even today's generation, the kids, they hardly know about what is a good quality material, because they are all used to these big brands who are cheaper, fast fashion brands. They don't know the value of a pure wool or pure silk, or even value of gold, to be honest. So what is going to be the trend?
So it's actually, I think previously, I think the Boohoo scandal that happened, there's a great sort of parliamentary debate, and they're questioning Mohammed Khamenei, who's sort of the chairman of Boohoo, and they're asking him, how do we solve this issue? And, from sort of what I understand anyway, the change has to really come from buying practices, because you've got your ASOSs and you've got your Zalandos, and they will say they're focused on sustainability. They want you to source sustainably. However, once you're sort of working with them, and we've sort of previously had experience working with them on a private label basis, if something is selling out and they get to a stage where it's sort of down to their last 100, they need a repeat. They need a repeat quickly, and at that point, they're not bothered if you're sourcing it sustainably. They're not bothered if you are how well you're doing it. So unless buyers stop putting pressures on other brands or their suppliers in that way, brand or as an SME, you stand no chance, because if you fail to deliver, you lose them as an account. And for most people, ASOS could be, make up sort of 40% of their top line. And the change really has to come from buying practices as opposed to what brands or consumers offer. If buyers don't put that pressure on brands, if buyers don't put that pressure on suppliers, we could really come to sort of a understanding where we can probably get to a stage where it's sustainable.
Yeah, but in end of the day, consumers are the one who are driving, like the brands like Boohoo or ASOS. They've been like going trend, and they're going really fast, and they have grown tremendously larger compared to good brands who have the dedication to create something unique and beautiful. So like the consumers pushing the brands to create more, it has led to modern slavery. So how you think the industry can eradicate the act of modern slavery? What could be the possibilities of looking into them?
I think brands really need to see the suppliers. We're a supply for many brands to see it as a true partner. It's not really just some guy in Asia that we source from. So it's a true partnership. You have to invest into your supply chain, your partner. You can help them out on like upgrading on the facility and things like that too. I mean, I'm seeing one thing is that like H&M recently they just issued a very successful green bond and the coupon on that is very low. Can they translate some of that and help their suppliers, because they are getting very, very cheap financing, but a lot of the suppliers cannot. They have no access to those kind of low cheap financing, especially here in Asia. We generally have a higher interest rates than in the EU or in the US. So that means we are actually at a already a disadvantage. So if the brands can really look in that way, I think that can be a major turnaround in the relationship between suppliers and brands.
Yeah,
I think we've really got to think about our values in terms of like having a system that works not just on GDP growth, but on the three levers: people, planet, and profit, being equally valued. And I think that a lot of these things that we're talking about, the sustainability problems, modern day slavery, everything is a sickness of the actual system that we're fighting against in the end. And to me, that's the main issue. And if we can look at bringing our businesses in line with sort of something like the donut economy, then we can start to live within those means.
yeah, but I also believe, like, opportunities given, for example, larger stores or the corporate companies can also provide opportunities for smaller brands, so that can allow to sustainable growth. Is it audible?
I couldn't hear much.
Okay, I mean, what I was commenting was like, if the stores can allow a growth of local manufacturers or local brands, that could also lead to sustainability than producing more and more and creating more chaos, because there's so much of productions already made, and I think spreading the opportunities and providing opportunities for younger talents to thrive. I think it's
totally. I think that stuff like local production hives will be important going forward as well, like having something that you can be super agile on. You don't have to create like thousands of pieces. You can just create like 50, and it's really agile, and the consumer really wants to have something that's a bit more customized, like going forward as well. That's just in general, not even in the sustainability point.
If I may add the small number. According to the European Commission, there is such a nice number. It's 26 kilograms per person per year. We are using textiles. So it is craziness, because what can we, and each year, if we are thinking 26 kilograms, so per 10 years, we are using how much? It is, if we will think more, if responsible, what we are using, how we are using. And I can agree with all the participants that the main thing it is to change the behavior of the consumer, of the buyer, to be more responsible of what I am buying, how long I am using, how I can upcycle my shirt, for example, which I was using 10 years. If I'm thinking that, one t-shirt to make it is 2 tons of water, so then I will be more respectful with this thing which I'm using now. I will not throw out. And very interestingly, that also the statistics shows that from 1993, the behavior changed, and the people, they are no more donating the old textile things, they are throwing away. And this, now we in 21, so from 93, in this the span of 20 years, means all this chaos started. Because, we want this rapid fashion, we want to be nice, fashionable with all the plastic materials on us. But if we are thinking about the wardrobe of our grandmothers, the wool or the luxury brands, they were going from one generation to other generation, and they had the value. So I'm thinking that the one main thing it is to change the mind, and to use more local materials, more the small designers brands. Because if I want to be unique, I don't want to go like, the many people with these 26 kilograms in my wardrobe per year. So I'm thinking that the main thing is slowly and steadily to change the behavior into the more responsible.
I get that, but also we have to think about like the economy as it is. It's not like our grandparents' economy. I know through COVID, loads of my designer friends got made redundant, because there just isn't the demand. Everyone stopped shopping. So we also have to think about this in terms of what unintended consequences are going to come from this kind of reduction in spending, and how we can rebalance the economy going forward. So I'm very obsessed by new economics.
I think we all are. Okay.
Yeah, see, basically, if you see what Sigita was also talking about, the old age, the values, and what Rachel also was talking about, the new economy, be it whatever, the psychology of the people matters a lot. That's how we're going as an industry, as everybody, be it a manufacturer, producer, or a consumer supply chain. So you understand the psychology of the consumers, train the mind accordingly to bring in a standard behavioral change among them. Then I think there is a sustainability in that front. So at least you can focus on what you need to and how you have to go. Because if there's any drift in the behavioral patterns, it will keep on changing. So then for each and everything, we can't be changing with respect to natural resources, inputs, and stuff. It's quite a lot. I think not only in fashion industry, any industry is concerned. I think there's quite a lot to do with the behavioral change aspect as such. We need to work a lot on that.
I was just going to add, we're facing a huge humanitarian crisis as well. Just getting back to the consumer and everything. I don't know if you recently saw in the news that they've discovered that there's a very important current in the ocean, and it's slowed down. Now, this has implications for the whole of Europe, for the whole of the world. It's meaning that there's a higher risk of flooding, more extreme storms, etc. Now, when you factor in the cost of how much that is going to be, that's much bigger than the whole fashion industry. So we're facing a problem of unprecedented. And people like me, I'm supposed to be solving this. There's 700 million people at risk in the next 9 years of water scarcity. And we've currently got 2 billion people that are drinking water contaminated with sewage. And we cannot continue. I know there's designers that are out of work, and I'm not an economist, I'm an environmentalist, but I'm just looking at it in this sense that long term it's going to cost more. And I don't want to put a figure on how much it's going to cost. I mean, I'm lucky, I live in Sweden, we're surrounded by water, but that doesn't mean I'm not aware of issues of what's going on. And it's my job to try and create awareness, to try and link that, I'm sitting in a nice, warm, heated home, that there's people out there that don't have access to water, they can't turn on the tap. So this is what I'm trying to do, create awareness by, people don't realise when they're coming out of Zara with bags and bags of clothes. it's having a knock-on effect, and it's cumulative as well. It's all adding up. So we all have a role to play in this. So
just to add on from that, as in, I think when we sort of decided to go sustainable, water consumption was the biggest and the most alarming thing that I sort of came across, because of water that's using. But the problem is how do you educate the end consumer? And, I completely agree with you. This is a huge issue. People were wearing dresses that use 20,000 litres of water, but at the same time, we've got people that don't have clean water to drink from. And what for me was quite fascinating is that we then sort of drew out a supply chain and went back to mills that were actually printing and stuff. So what we've actually managed to do is find a printing mill that uses water from the gutter, cleans it, and uses that to sort of wash the clothes or do the printing and stuff. So litres of water that's being used is not fresh water, but it's actually dirty water. They're cleaning it. But the problem is, how do you convince other mills or other factories around the world to use the same process? What that has done is, because we're now only using this one factory, it's completely impacted our ability and our sort of productivity on how many we can produce, which has in turn impacted our top line. As an SME, it's important for us to keep going. At the end of the day, we still need to pay the bills. But the problem is how, as an SME or as a big company, how do you manage that? Or how do you sort of force or push the end factory or these mills to take up these practices? I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I'm pretty sure the mill that decided to take up this practice was a form of them saving money, but actually it's worked out perfectly. It's just how, as a buyer, do you reach out to these factories? Is there a way that they could be sort of a bit more transparent so we know what's really going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies, from my knowledge, they look into transparency of how the supply chain, but I don't think so. It is 100% achievable as well when it comes to transparency, because sometimes for example, from the supplier's perspective, if you look at it, they wanted to keep their companies alive. That becomes the key, and hence, and I know many factories who just work with companies like Boohoo or Primark just to keep the people surviving in their factories. And there are a lot of that is where the modern slavery and the Bangladesh issues got into picture. Anyway, so my next point would be, how can we ensure that everybody in the industry is paid the relevant living wage? Because living wage is the main issue in the industry, because the wages in one country is different to compared to UK. China and India could be different. So it has become the mentality of people in the buying. Oh, okay, I'm getting 10p lesser than in a different country or different factory. So a living wage is also playing a very a major role here when we're talking about sustainability, and especially people in the back end of the industry. So I would like someone to comment on this. Prithvi, you're coming from the behavioral change. Do you have any views on it?
Basically, that's a statutory requirement when it depends on country to country and what the scale, whether it's a large scale or a small or SME. And I think there are acts into it. I think we just need to follow these statutory norms as per the industrial requirement. For instance, if you see on a living wage per se, all employers have to pay for its employees who are over 25 years of age. So that's a statutory requirement. So it's a compliance, basically. That's it. You just have to adhere to it. So I have nothing much to say on that.
Okay. Is it the living wage something we should aspire to support people at the bottom of the supply chain?
I think so, 100%. It shouldn't be just about top people getting all the money and putting it in their pockets at all. And we really need to start thinking of businesses as ecosystems that help everyone within the system to thrive, and not having to be all of the margin. I know that throughout my design experience, some companies have taken 60, 70% margin, to get what they need to get. But also with a lot of this stuff, I think we're moving from something which is business as usual, which is what we were talking about earlier on, where everyone is like trying to survive, towards something in the future regenerative, which we've got to see as a journey as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. What are the ways the system can be balanced to find the growth in the industry, at the same time not abuse the system? Oh yeah, I think you're muted.
Is it me?
Oh yeah, I mean, just anyone can answer this.
Again, I think it's ditto what I just said, really. Like really looking at systems-based thinking and how we organise our systems going forward.
Yeah, perfect. So what do you all think is the role of the government in driving the change? What do you all think the role of the government in driving the change? I think there are, governments are also making or talking about green agenda and legislation. So how it is going to look like?
They really need to start supporting the industry. If you look at places like Fashion Roundtable, they've been doing a lot of work in working directly with the government to make it more easy and economic, and actually economical to go towards this, because at the moment it's a choice of the industry to do it. And a lot of them, when I speak to them, are just like, well, I'm just going to wait until I'm told to do it, and that also isn't great. Yes. And I think, again, the easy word has to come in play.
Yeah. So how do we all see the industry in next 5 years down the line? So
I think with the coming in, like when industrialization 1, 2, 3, now we are at the stage of industrialization 4, and that industrialization 4.0 is transforming the fashion industry to fashion 4.0. So it's about the circular economy. So even like we were talking about governments before as well. So in some countries, governments are promoting those industrial 4.0 practices, and that also helps in like sustainability at the same time. So like it's not just about like what factories or the brands will do, but like what's coming from the government. Like if like a country have access to all of the resources, the new resources or the new technologies, what industries, and if the government is supporting, the country to bring in all the technologies faster in the country, that I think like helps as well. Because like, yeah, it's possible in the first world countries, what about like, third world countries, like, they are still lacking in that. So like, if we talk about like, like Germany, because industrialization like has been really like technology has been really big advancement, and like machinery manufacturing is a big thing here. So I think like it's about the government also, like how they have inculcated everything, like they have encouraged technology all the time, and how they have supported those industries as well.
Thank you.
And one more thing also, I think there are two.
I would like to add.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Sorry.
Please.
I would like to add that in any case, economy has to go sooner or later to the circular mode, and in European Union it has to be done to 2050. So in any case, it will be the force from the side of the government, the top-down decisions and the restrictions for the industry. And I see that in the future, industry has to go more closer with the research companies, with the innovations, and like that would be the chance to find the optimal decisions for the industry and for the ecology also.
Yeah, Prithvi.
You see, adding on to it, I think the recent COVID has created a very strong platform for digitalization and technology, and that's going to be the near future without any doubt. Be it whatever industry, and especially in fashion industry, we need to work quite a lot to improvise on those fields, especially in technology and digitalization. That will give a different roadmap going down there. Probably next 5 years, we'll be talking about what's going to be for the next 10 years as such. So yeah, 4.0 is going to become 5.0, or it's going to be digital driven. There's no two things about it.
Yeah, I mean, like if I talk about the brand Hugo Boss, like it's leading his way, like its way in the industry, because they have already, like I think like 5 or 4 years ago, they have already started operating like smart factories, which is located in Turkey.
Yeah, 4 years back.
Yeah, and they have already started all those before pandemic. So but we knew everything about these processes, and but now, if when nothing is possible physically, everything has to go virtually. So everybody is going now, but it was there before. It's just it's accelerating now.
Okay, my last question to everybody. Do you feel we have achieved real progress, and if so, when we will be achieving it and how?
Um, I've been in this industry since from my when in the 80s, when I was following my parents in the around the factory. So in this 40 years, there's major changes. Um, so I am still optimistic that we're gonna fix many of the things, and there's still things to be made that fixed. But definitely from in 10 years times, looking back, we'll see there's major progress. Yeah.
I think we're always in this industry really reactive to things. So I think that it can change quite quickly. I mean, I remember I've been in the industry for a long time as well. When I first started, I was working in a factory here in the UK, and it moved ever so quickly to India or whatever. So I think that we can actually change quite quickly if we have the need to.
Yeah, that's all fantastic. Amazing points thrown up in today's event. Let's hear what our audience has got to say. Does anyone has got any questions from the audience? They can just post their comment and or come on stage. Because I have a comment from one of them. I mean, looks like. Her name is Sahid Omar. Hi, all fantastic talking points and loving the conversation. Her view is the best way forward is enabling all on demand manufacturing. And she's commenting on ecosystem and building unjust supply chain. The wholesale, she's talking about unjust supply chain basically. So do we think we have an unjust supply chain? Even I don't know the answer that well. I think you're on mute.
I think it's not just one answer. There are loads of just supply chains, but there are loads of unjust supply chains, and it's
because
now
the wholesale market is dead actually. If we have to, back in 20 years ago, we had traders in between, agencies in between, but today this opportunity has diversified largely, and in the digital age there are new opportunities that are rising up. People don't know we have our social media managers, and all these job roles have come up very lately, but where the traditional industry has gone, is dead. There are no wholesalers, there are no agencies, there are no you understand what I mean? So in terms of the supply chain, there has been a huge drift, and now the digital age. So where it is all leading to is everything is going to be e-commerce, or the stores are going to have future. It's a very big challenging question at this point to me.
Like I said, like it's the shift is a physical store will still have the presence. People will still like to go to the store, have the experience. So it's basically like also about like millennials, they're more comfortable, without trying on their clothes. They can take the hassle of, okay, like, if I don't like this and if it doesn't fit well on me, can just return, it's an easy process. But e-commerce businesses have made for them. But like for the older consumers, they still want to go to the store, touch, feel, try it on, and then maybe like they have those, you know, whatever they want to buy, whatever they like in their mind, and then when they are coming home, and then they are buying online. So physical presence will still be there, but yeah, of course, the leading way is e-commerce.
There are some amazing concept stores there as well that are not just, they were just about experiences. I can't remember the exact one now, but you just go in and it's just about an experience, and after having that experience you get involved with the brand. So maybe stores will become sort of huge play areas for people or something.
And also, like in like in European, some of the European countries, you have lovely boutiques like on the roadside. All the tourists would like, they love to shop in those like little stores and boutiques, which they can, like those stores, like they cannot afford to have e-commerce platforms, And Zalando, what they did during COVID time, they are reaching out to those like little stores, and they're giving them the platform. Okay, like they have created a platform during COVID time. The stores are shut. We will give you the opportunity, like like we'll create a mini store inside Zalando, and then you can sell your stuff there. So there are a lot of collaborations have been happening in a lot of ways, and people are experimenting. The companies are innovating their business models, like according to the need of the market.
That's all wonderful thoughts, people. It's been lovely to have you all. If anyone has anything to comment or say, feel free. So are we all done here today? So any questions from the audience? Okay, I have a question. Coming back to third world countries, living in one, I know it is very difficult to get everyone on board with sustainable fashion, where there is such a huge gap between consumer wealth in terms of poverty. How would you go about trying to educate the poorer consumers on sustainability when it is more logical for them to go for cheaper fast fashion? It's a good point. Anyone would like to answer that? Can I repeat?
I would like to add on that. Of course, like I'm not expert in that, but I think like what my point of view is, like these days it's not just about the bigger brands are going sustainable. The bigger brands, like the brands like I would say like Primark, or in UAE there is like Landmark, there is Max, which is like almost very similar to Primark, which they are offering to like very, it's like a value for the value market. They are also getting there and like practicing like sustainability. I'm not sure till what extent, because it can be the case of like marketing strategy as well. But because of the traceability coming in, I'm sure it will not be a marketing strategy, and people will really want to know like what they are doing. So if like the value brands are doing the same thing, and they are communicating with their consumers about like, okay, this is organic, this is why it is sustainable. So I think slowly it's getting there. And if the value brands are also doing that, and in their campaigns also they are talking about like basics, like okay, buy more basics, less fashion, they are also like promoting all of that. So I think if, because the value brand and the third world countries, they are very well connected together. So I think in time they will be educated. Just slowly I think it's happening.
Okay, good to know. Any more questions from the audience?
I want to add one comment.
Yeah.
Like this discussion, and it's also the educational. So if we will talk more, if we will discuss on not comfortable topics more, this is our impact and input into the education of the consumers and in the change, because the green revolution, it has to come. We have no chance to live like we used to live before COVID. And look at the brands, at the shop of the brands, what kind of fashion they are now promoting. You know, I'm sitting 1 year at home. Do I wear the nice dress? Where I will go to put the garbage out? You know, I will shop. You know, the yoga setup, and I will stay with that. So this is the change. You know, and thank you so much, Asvika, for the organizing of such a nice discussion. And I think that we will continue with our, you know, it will be not one-time discussion, but it will be the chain of the, let's say, many discussions like that. And it will be our small impact in the big green revolution. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, Sagita, for thank you everyone, in fact, in participating in the show. It's been a wonderful, because since I'm coming from the bottom of the industry, and I do understand the pain of a manufacturer, or I also have a fashion brand, so I know how hard is to push the brand, but the economy is such that, or the policies are such that it does not allow the sustainability to drive, unfortunately. As I mean, we spoke earlier in our conversation. So yeah, so we don't know how what are the legislations that are coming forward. I'm sure the world will try to adapt slowly in the fashion industry, but it's just influencing the audience and bringing a change in the mindset of the companies. I think that was the best way that we all can bring change in our fashion. What are we going to do without fashion? We all of us, if you look at it, we are coming from fashion industry, and we don't have life outside this fashion industry, to be honest. And all my business is in fashion. So as a fashion entrepreneur, I understand, and there are designers or people like yourself, or truly care about in your area, be it in terms of environment or people. I think the sustainability must be acted in every level. And we must allow consumers to know what they are buying into, even if they are shopping in a virtual world. The future generations or the current generations, I feel when I see them, they don't know, are they buying the right product at the right price? So this is something, of course, we cannot solve the matter by discussion, but yes, I think it's actions from the governments as well is involved in it. It's my point of view, people. Anyone, any views, any
I
questions?
just want to add the last thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like Sigita was talking about, like if like even if you have like nice hanging dress in your wardrobe, like where would you go? But like now, like it's also about the digital presence. The tech savvy millennials, they want to have digital presence in what they are wearing. They want to show the world what they're wearing. So with that, like now they don't have to buy clothes. They are digital clothes. Like I don't know. There's a company like the digital garment company, which is the Fabricant. They are selling digital clothing, which is not physical, it's digital. So online, you just have to put virtually, like map it on your body, and you will be wearing that on your Instagram. And and during this time, you don't have to really, and that's also sustainable, because like all these like bloggers, influencers, what they want, if they're wearing one dress in one of their posts, they don't want to see like people for them to see in the same dress again. So for them, it's a really good platform to have like just digital clothing.
Like
Don't
avatar.
buy physical.
But
yes,
see,
it's very interesting idea. Sorry, because it merges digitalization with the let's say gaming. Because in gaming, you can change the outfit. Like you can buy the shoes or the gloves or all the outfits. And I was amazed that there the prices for these outfits, they are like for the designer brands. It is crazy, and people, the gamers, they are buying. So we have very interesting, let's say, shift of the consciousness in this digitalization age. So who knows where we will go? But in our reality, yes, for now, the sustainability is the number one thing which we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, we are women. We love clothes. I think fashion makes us happy, and that is why we are in fashion, I believe. And every girl wants. It's a dream of every girl to create her own fashion. And I mean, but this digital age is a new world to someone old school like me, probably. uh, yeah, let's see where the trend is heading. It's great online, but we are people lovers. So yeah, any comments from anyone? Are we done here?
Thank you for organising. It was really, really fun and really nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Ashwika, and thank you everyone for this wonderful session.
Thank you,
Great
everyone.
day ahead.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Pleasure meeting
Thank
you
you.
all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's stay connected. Thank you everyone. Ciao.
Bye.